You sit back here.
Okay. I'm gonna sit up here.
I figure you.
Sure.
Work committees and.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
For a long time now.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my age today.
People are just reversing them. I didn't think there's a deal with it.
You should have just reversed the numbers. There you go.
Let's say I'm for seven, but isn't that certainly those
That's like the, the scary is that we think of 57 as young now.
She wouldn't get it.
Minutes.
57 is a baby.
I said, I think I'm where my parents were when I was.
When you thought they were fossils. Right.
My grandmother said that people who were over 50 were probably old enough to die, and perhaps they ought to. Then she passed that mark and changed it.
She made it, she did what.
She lived to be 90 something.
Oh, really?
Well, I'll call the meeting to order and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? No. I'm aware of any. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest? No. So this was a typo in the agenda that I prepared. The minutes we are reviewing are from July 27,
Not June 20.
not June, whatever it is. And I was late getting to those, so I shared those, and I think there have been some comments, like Tammy mentioned that we should have an attachment with all the carry forward amounts should be in there in one place.
Yeah,
Okay.
Then
Okay.
put on a group together.
Group them
not like
together.
individually.
Okay. Was there anything else that people recall from that? Does somebody want to move her? All in favor? That's everybody. Do people have any communications they want to share?
Haven't heard anything.
All right. And the warrants, there are two warrants. There's the school warrant and the town warrant.
They're all on one.
Right, but they're supposed to be separate. We talked about that last time. And so that's why, and I did share the school one because our responsibilities are different for the two. It's fine if you want to have the school total amount, but everybody does need to review this. So I did forward it to everybody because we have to see the things that the school board reviewed and the fact that they approved those, which they did. If people haven't seen that.
I guess I don't understand exactly how you maybe presented.
So it's fine if you want to put the school total in here like you did. But then every time you send us warrants, you need to send everybody
Yeah.
the school
Yeah,
details.
that was oversight.
So that's all I mean about that.
All right.
And then I did have a question about the school stuff because you had the 139,000 that's in the school warrant, but then in unclassified, you had an additional 95,800.
That's the amount, and I did email that later. That's the amount that we sent that to the school on the last warrant.
What do you mean sent back?
We sent it to the school on the last warrant. That amount was on the last warrant.
Right,
Tara did not post it
but if
on
it,
the
why
last
would it be on this warrant if it was?
because it
posted?
wasn't posted on the last one. It
Oh,
was
okay.
in
So
the
this-
system, when Tara creates the summaries, she did not post it, and it was submitted to her late.
Okay,
She entered it into the computer system and then she did not post it. She waited until this billing cycle to post it.
right,
So the amount that you see as far as the invoices selected for payment,
right,
they do not include either one of the school payments, because I thought you wanted to see the school payments separate from the invoice amount.
right.
So
Right.
it's-
So when we're looking at this summary of all these pages with all these things, these things we're authorizing be paid now?
Typically, yes.
Right.
This week is different because of that one check that was I included on the last warrant with the school summary. Tara did not post it on the department summary.
So I'm just wondering if there's some way of annotating it in unclassified that this was previously approved or something, so that it's clear we're not approving it 2 times. You know what I mean? It's confusing. Can you do that? And that would be
Yes, I will add that note.
that really was approved last time.
Yes.
Because I know it's not in the total on the first page,
Okay.
but if somebody were to read the fine print like an auditor, they might, like I did, I came to that and I saw 2 school amounts, but only one on the front page
Yeah, I'll just print off a copy of the email
to
that I
attach
shared
to
with the
that.
select
Okay,
board and attach it with this so that it is with the warrant,
okay,
so that it makes sense to the auditors that that
Right.
amount is not in there.
good. And I'm assuming that these amounts to the county, do we pay these just once a year?
Yes.
And so we owe all of this, like $1.7 million all the
That,
time.
that includes the dispatch fee, and the county changed their deadlines. It used to be the county bill, we used to be able to pay by September 30th. We did get a letter saying it has to be paid by September 1st. We do have the money in the checking account. Everybody's got their tax bills, those payments are starting to come in, so as far as cash flow goes, we should be fine.
That was my worry because this was, a lot of money we're paying the county
that is-
before we get
yeah.
all, and we only collect taxes 2 times a year from residents, but the county wants everything now.
There's
You know.
probably about 40 to 50% of the residents that pay their entire bill in by September 30th.
Wow, that's high.
That's nice of them, but what if they didn't do it? We could be in trouble, right?
Well,
No,
Get past that.
all right,
you know, we've just got a lot of people that have, the income is seasonal. So this is
Well,
the
that's
time of
true.
year that,
when they're
especially
flush,
fishermen.
they pay it.
Yeah.
And my last question is why we had paving in 2 places. There's one in the fire department and one in the property management and roads.
Because the fire department paved a parking lot and we paved roads.
Okay. Where did they pay the parking lot?
73.
Okay. So that's still in the
I
separate
think I
budget,
saw that happening out there.
What do you mean?
in a separate line in the fire department.
Yeah,
line.
they had a resurfacing line in their department's budget that was separate from
Yeah.
our road plan.
All right, those are all my questions. Anybody else have any questions?
No.
My only question was about dispatch fees, so.
They're up. That's a lot higher, isn't
That's
it?
included in the Knox County bill. That's part of the 17.
Well, there's 68,411 in the fire department and then also.
Yeah, that's a annual dispatch that.
Right,
Why is dispatch not included in the county tax?
Your county tax is based on your valuation and your dispatch fees are based on your population.
and it's like a service charge. They charge us for doing the service, whereas the other is just automatic based on the value of the properties in our town.
Basically, they do it because the fire department and the ambulance service are the 2 departments that use that service.
But as far as why it's not just part of your bill, it's because they
Right.
calculate the rate differently,
Right.
which is great because our call volume is, significantly lower than what it would be if we went by valuation.
So if nobody else has any questions, or do we have a consensus that we are authorizing the disbursement of $2,425,761.21?
Like to the penny.
That's a very big bill because we are giving.
Yeah.
The big one.
It is.
Yeah, 1.7 is to the county and then, 300,000 is paving. So that gets you to 2 million.
And then we have a few trash cans on here and stuff. So
Okay,
everybody, okay, all right, so we've approved that. And
I'm just glad we have the money to pay.
I am too, that's what I was worried about when I saw that.
I think it's like a 7% late fee as well, and so.
Yep.
On,
Pay the bill.
yeah, on
That's
1.7
pretty
million,
high.
that's a lot, yeah, it'd be
Oh,
120,000 or
good
something.
thing my bank pays my taxes for me. Right.
Yeah, I think it's, to expect that all at once is a lot, but anyway. We'll put Georg on that.
Yeah. Well, it hurts for a minute.
So, does anybody have any public comment about anything other than, what we're gonna be talking about on the agenda today? No, all right, then. The abatement, Jackie. Still open.
there she is.
Oh, helps if I turn my mic off. Hi.
Hi.
So this abatement is for a property owner in town who questioned their land value. And we can get, I guess, a little bit into the weeds on this one. So I'll kind of give a little bit of an explanation as to why I support this abatement application. And you can ask me questions if you like. But essentially, when we enter in data for everyone's land value, we take the acreage and we apply some sort of price per acre to whatever that acreage is. It all calculates out. Another kind of lever that we can pull if there's something special about a property or deficient about a property is to apply some sort of multiplier on top of that or a discount to that. So this property owner had looked at a number of other land parcels near them and saw that their value was way higher despite having a lower acreage. So I reviewed their account and discovered that, in my opinion, not the price per acre, but that multiplier had been inconsistently applied. So I brought that multiplier back down to be more consistent with their neighboring properties. And that's how I arrived at the new value that I'm suggesting today.
Is this a house and land? Or just a piece of proper land undeveloped?
It is developed land, but the question of value is only on the land, not the dwelling
Land.
itself. Yeah, I only made an adjustment to the land.
Sounds reasonable to me.
It was like a $200,000 adjustment, is that right?
It is. It's quite a large adjustment. It's a large value property. So I think the total value that we're landing on with the adjustment is 1.4 million or so, give or take. In terms of the percentage of the total value of the property, it's not high, but it is a higher dollar amount, which I think results in a $2,000, maybe a little bit more abatement amount. And I should say this is for the 2025 tax commitment. So we're still within that 365 days since that commitment that we can make adjustments. So this would apply to last year's tax commitment, not the one that we just did a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
So how does that work then? We write them a check for this amount if we
Yeah,
approve it?
Correct. Their taxes are paid. So we would be issuing a refund to them.
How many acres total is the property? Remember?
Once you know that.
Find it very quickly.
I believe y'all have the property card.
yeah, doesn't mean I know where there's no more.
The total acreage for the property is 0.69 acres. It is waterfront property. And the new land value that I'm suggesting is 622 and change.
So it's just over half an acre.
It's a small lot,
That is small.
but it's waterfront. So you, this is fair, a question of fairness, given the neighboring values on properties.
Correct. And these are the type of oddities that I come across here and there in town, and the type of oddities that we're looking to correct with the revaluation. But it's brought to our attention now, so the right thing to do, in my opinion, is to correct it now.
Do people have any other questions for Jackie or thoughts about that?
I move we approve the abatement.
I'll second it.
All in favor? That's all. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your meeting.
So the next item on the agenda is sharing with people where we are with the cold storage road and factory road process. Susie, you want to do that, or you?
Sure.
Go ahead.
So we met last week and first discussed the meeting from June 25th. We weren't totally happy with how that meeting went, and we had shared those thoughts with Sebago and FB Environmental. And then we just talked about what we had an extra option we wanted to add for Factory Road, and the survey that was on the website came back with nobody wanting anything on Factory and people being very torn about cold storage. And then we had a discussion with Bina from FB Environmental and Aaron from Sebago and batted around ideas and ideas and ideas. And where we kind of landed was where Factory Road is gonna be above high water for a long time, not by a lot, but for a long time. And with the riprap that's been put in there after the 2024 storms, we might not have to do tons to it to keep it safe. And then we talked about, so we decided to do nothing. We haven't made a final decision. These are decisions in the making. But we walked away from that meeting going, Factory is okay. Cold storage, to lift it anywhere where we'd be eligible for easy grant money is too high. It impacts the neighbors too much. And so we started looking at lifting it enough, so that Sebago Technics could use Gartley and Dorsey's schematics that they're using for the store area. And it would be about 13 feet above low tide. And the road would only pick up between, I think, they're gonna give us numbers, but between 1 and 2 feet. So it might be an 18-inch road rise what we asked for was, how can you use these schematics that are already done? Gartley and Dorsey's done a fair amount of specific work. How far can we lift cold storage before we start really having a negative impact on the neighbors there? And then ancillary to that is give us ways for neighbors to Cold Storage Road to be able to lift their properties if they need to, their buildings, if they choose to do that. And so we're waiting now to hear back from Sebago regarding the cold storage. And we're not asking them to do anything on Factory at this moment. So those are our sort of it's a tentative decision on Factory, and we need information to go forward on cold storage.
Just to be a touch more specific, so Factory Road would remain 7 inches above the 2100 highest astronomical tide. So that's and then Susie was saying the water would be close. That's sort of how close we're talking about.
And essentially what Sebago's been asked to do is see if they can provide us with information about making the road the same level as the proposed Port Clyde rebuild, the building where the store used to be.
Right.
So what Colby has planned and gotten approval for, what if the road were basically straight out from that?
But we want to make sure we're not impacting.
That's right.
Or other
It's
buildings.
not really a nod to Colby so much as being able to use their numbers.
No, that's right. But, so that's the information the Resilience Committee has asked for from them. And the other thing that, was discussed at the Resilience Committee
Yeah.
meeting was about, when we have, when we're making our decision about what to do, and the Resilience Committee has settled on a recommendation for us. The first part of that meeting, we will have, scientists and graphics showing what it would look like if we didn't take any action, where the water would be in 2050 and 2100. And I don't know if any of you went to the Sebago presentation that was at the school a couple of years ago when they showed graphics that included like little people, standing in the middle of Cold Storage Road with water like up to their ankles or shins or whatever. And
we want to talk a little bit about the pay-as-you-go plan.
Right.
Because there's a tipping place.
right,
So if we know what we paid to fix factory and we know what we paid to fix cold storage in 2024, and we can have the scientists that advise us give us a best guess of frequency of events like that in the next X number of years, then we can extrapolate a cost for paying as you go, and here's the cost to fix it now, and
fix
so.
it now versus fix it every time it gets damaged.
So where's that tipping point? Are we gonna look back in 15 years and go, oh man, we should have really raised that road? So we're gonna get as much information as we can to compare the two options.
But I have to say, I'm not gonna rehash all of my frustrations with the June 25th meeting. But one of my significant frustrations was
Oh yeah, there it is.
that, why didn't they show this on June
Yeah.
25th?
Great
A
picture.
picture's worth 1,000 words, and they did this 2 years ago. And some of us saw it at the school 2 years ago.
I remember that.
And yet instead, on June 25th, they over on the side, they've got all these big maps with little lines. And so anyway, when we're when we're here, people will see this. It's a little easier. Now, I think this is 2100. I think the
Correct.
2050 picture, there's water on the road, but it isn't
The
touching
people are dry,
Yeah.
but they can't get down the boat ramp.
Well, it's their fault sharing in the water.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just feel like here they had stuff we paid for, a couple of years ago, and that's very helpful, and yet they didn't share it at the best time. But better late than never. We will do that when they come.
So Susie, you did say you asked them to provide some options for neighbors.
Yes, also, they already have given me a list of, and I've sent that on to Brandon of funding sources and means of if a building there wants to, if they have to lift, if the road is gonna drain badly.
Are they gonna give them an idea of what they would have to do or just how they could maybe get funding?
I think it's mostly how they would get funding, but we can see, yeah.
Yeah,
Information would give the neighbor.
Yeah,
Sebago's not doing any design for private property, if that's what you're asking.
right, they would not do anything like that.
But if there are resources where there's money that could pay for the people to get that sort of design stuff.
And the information, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
those are things we're definitely gonna, and some members of the Resilience Committee resisted, talking about the consequences on the neighbors, but I said that the select board had said it was our priority that we, make sure that abutters, knew the consequences for them and what we would do for them if they're.
Ultimately, it's you guys' decision, not ours. We're just advisors.
I think
And-
I
Appreciate it. It's very important to consider neighbors. I just wanted to say, I raised my house last summer a couple of feet and it was not cheap. I
Right,
mean, it's a major deal. They did a beautiful job
right.
and I'm safer and it's pinned to the ledge, but yeah, I mean, if you were talking
Okay.
several homes, you're talking a lot of money.
Well, and also Herring got raised the bait shack, so
Yeah.
we do have some local examples of people,
It's doable,
right?
and we need to find ways
The
to,
right
A,
funding.
get the information
Right.
to people, and then B, help them find funding. And maybe it's 40 years out because the tipping point is there.
Right.
So we have more information to find out, and then we will bring it all to you.
So probably the last thing we should say so that the minutes are clear is that, again, at the point where the resilience committee brings a recommendation to us, there will be lots of notice to the community about, when that meeting is, and I'm assuming people will want to attend, and we will hopefully do a better job than happened June 25th.
We learned a lot.
We learned a lot, and that was worth something. So,
It's a topic that brings up a lot of opinions on the committee, in the community.
right.
There's a lot of strong feelings about this. Be ready.
And it's been kind of messy, but I
We're
feel like
getting
we
there.
are
And
getting
it's
there.
out there in the public where everybody can see.
Right. Right. So, I know some of you are Port Clyde residents. If you wanted to say anything about the process, this is your big chance before we move on to the next agenda item. Jane?
I just want to say that, my husband and I were both at the last Resilience Committee meeting, and I thought it was an excellent meeting. There was a lot of information, but people were discussing things, the pros and cons of everything, and it was a real working meeting, and I thought it was very productive. And
Thank you.
I live right over Factory Road, exactly where, the flooding would happen, and I'm very happy with the direction that you're taking with things. So I think that I saw Carl down at the dock the other day. I said, yeah, you did a great job. It was a very, very, very productive meeting.
Good. Yeah, I thought that too. Anita?
Yeah, I thought it was very productive too, and it was open and a frank discussion, and I think the decision that was reached was very practical. And getting the
It
numbers,
surprised me.
getting the numbers on what it's gonna cost to do repairs through the years will be a guesstimate, but it will help people to understand. And of course, I'm totally in favor, when the select board does a presentation to the public, of having visuals
Right.
that illustrate very clearly for the average person what could happen, both with sea level rise and with surge.
Right.
So that people will not be able to say 2 years later when something happens, we didn't know. They'll know,
Right.
the people that attend.
Right. Well, good, thank you. So our one of the things that enters into our decision making is that there is a list of other roads that are vulnerable, that are town owned and maintained roads. Remembering that 73 and 131 are not town roads, so we have very little control over what the state chooses to do about vulnerable areas on those roads. And this is the list of the Resilience Committee's next priorities after we make decisions about Cold Storage Road and Factory Road. And I thought, we could decide tonight that we agree with these as being the next priorities
two
after,
comments
yeah,
here?
sure.
So one is that when we decided to work on cold storage and factory, we thought that drift-in was already in process. So that was not on our radar at that point. We had set it over here. We knew it was a problem, but we set it over here that the select board was working on that. Those things have changed. So we may get to answers on factory and cold storage and then shelve them and get design options for the roads, particularly Marshall Point and Drift In, which are kind of the next one on that list that you're seeing, that we might want to get design options for that and then start directing actual change money to that, which will be the bigger dollars.
Yeah, so the fact that we, I think Susie's point is basically the fact that we make decisions about what path we think is the best for Cold Storage Road doesn't necessarily mean we start hiring contractors to do anything right away. We're just trying to grapple with the vulnerabilities that we have. And
this current list that we have is almost the same as the original list that we did with the Richard Bates study. This list, though, I have different people on the committee now, and so Tim Polke's on there and Ryan Lashane from Blueberry Cove particularly. We were going after who's in danger and how much is it gonna cost. And so the list that's in front of you now is tweaked a little bit from the first list of vulnerabilities that we had, but it is based entirely on danger and dollars.
yeah, and one of the
What was used to determine danger?
How many people
the number
many
of
people
people
would
that would
be
be
cut off?
stranded.
From fire and ambulance?
How did Factory Road make the top then?
Well, that was the old list. Factory and cold storage were the top two roads on the old list.
I see.
And I mean, I think everybody in town would agree cold storage would be the top road because
That was
of,
from Sebago, Brendan.
because
Those
cold,
two being the top.
Yeah, after Drift In. Drift In was number one, and then cold storage, and then factory, and we did the two together.
so, I mean,
I was just wondering if we reviewed the rest of the list, and their current elevations versus future projected hats, so that we don't do what just happened with Factory Road,
right,
get 4 design options back and then realize, well, actually the road's gonna be fine for another 75 years.
Right.
yeah, and I also think, I mean, I remember Richard Bates' presentation
Yeah.
to the select board and seeing, you know, for example, Drift In Road, you know, if we were forced to abandon the piece where right now it's one lane, you know, that would be unfortunate, but nobody would be stranded, you know, like,
Isn't there one house?
well, maybe one house. I don't know without, but you know, everybody would be able to still get to town. The ambulance would be able to get to everybody.
There wouldn't be a huge delay, you know, like.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think Brandon's point is a good one, that these are what the Resilience Committee, the current configuration of the Resilience Committee recommends we do next would be Drift In and Marshall Point roads. And then after that, Horse Point, then Harrington Cove and Klein, then Ratcliffe and the Causeway. And, you know, I'm wondering if,
Ratcliffe Road is not a town road. Do you mean, could it mean Island Ave?
I don't know, quite honestly, I don't know.
I was wondering where
The causeway's on Island Ave.
Yes.
that's what I think
So
that
that's a
means.
That's
town
what I think.
responsibility.
That's a town road, but Ratcliffe Road is a private road.
Okay.
That's when you get onto the island.
Right, one,
No, that's off, that's further down Klein Road.
Oh, okay.
if you went straight instead of turning left.
So we should change this from Ratcliffe Road to Island.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what the inheritance
I-
is.
I need to go back to the sources. to-
My
But
guess,
obviously you're talking about the town road because
Yeah.
we're not responsible for
We're not, we
that.
wouldn't have any private roads on
Well,
there.
town road stops right at, Radcliffe's old house, if I remember right.
which part? On Island Ave?
No, on,
On-
at the end of Clarendon.
Right.
River.
Once,
Radcliffe, once you get to his house, the town road stops and then it becomes private.
right, and I believe it becomes Radcliffe Road at that
Right.
point, yeah.
Okay, so that would be a misnomer, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I know that the co-op road was looked at, even though that was private, so I just wasn't sure if that was another holdover.
I have
from-
to, yeah, I can't speak to that with any accuracy, I'm sorry.
So I'm wondering if what makes the most sense is for us to kind of give the resilience committee more information that we might want before we decide on the next priorities, which maybe would include, because that graphic we just saw with the people in it, there are graphics just like that for all of these places. For 2050 and 2100. And certain data, and it might be more helpful if we had some of that before we commit to anything, because there's no rush to decide these things. We wanna
No, but I
make the
mean,
decisions.
the money window, both for grants for design and grants for repair and remediation gets smaller and more and more places are asking. So we don't wanna dilly-dally much, but there's no reason to make any kind of rushed decision. But we wanna keep going forward. We don't wanna say, no, we can think about that later.
And if you have a critical situation by 2050, that's not really that far away.
It's not.
I mean, maybe we won't be here, but a lot of people will be here.
Some people who are here right now will be. Brandon and Aaron, some people will be here 20.
And they'll be pissed as all get out. Let's try and get this right.
Yeah, so maybe what a few of us could work on listing information that might be helpful to have to bring back. And then,
Well, please do double check on that road, because I don't think Island Ave is all that vulnerable.
I'll go back to the
It's tucked in
Sebago
a little
report.
bit.
And
Radcliffe
Richard
Road
drifted
is-
The only one would be
Private.
bone would be the causeway.
Right, exactly. I don't think the
Yeah, the
road.
road itself, I don't think.
Right.
I think it's about the causeway and it's down at the bottom because it's so many dollars.
Mhm.
all right, and I did talk to Nicole, who couldn't be here tonight, about the August 4th meeting and kind of what you asked Sebago to provide about Cold Storage Road. This loops back to your comments about grant funding and timing and stuff. And she said that congressionally designated funding, the month for applications for that next year is March. And she wonders if there might be a collaborative request for the work that they're talking about doing that connects the boat line wharf and
Parking.
all of that along with the road. If we put all of that in one package, that was a congressionally designated funding request by March, that might have a,
But we need to see what
right.
Sebago
Right.
comes back to us. with.
Yeah, there's a lot to do before we get to that point, but if you're aware of grant deadlines, whether like that or
Right.
any others, that should press us to make decisions sooner about the road.
But
priority
we
list.
still haven't decided that cold storage,
No,
the remediation of cold storage is the
No.
most important thing to put the big bucks in.
right, that's right,
It may be that it's more important to do Drift In and Marshall Point.
right. There are lots of ways
There's a lot
this could go,
unknown.
right?
I doubt Drifton and Marshall Point, though, would have the appeal for congressional directed spending. I think if you were making a more comprehensive village plan that's helping
The economy,
yeah, businesses,
Yeah.
the economy as well as residents and public resources that receive, federal funding like the public landing.
Right.
I could see that being a strong applicant. Although
Right.
it would be new, they typically just fund fire departments and wastewater treatment plants, but there may be more
You never know.
resilient type requests coming in.
Yep. Okay.
all right. So,
So
All right.
I'll figure out, and I can send that correction to all of you for,
or Island Ave or whatever, and I'll look at the graphics and whatnot from the earlier Sebago stuff, and maybe Sarah and Jen, whomever could help with that.
Yep.
Highest astronomical tide data and
yep,
the different things that might be helpful to get us on track for deciding what's next. So the next thing on the agenda, and if, oh yeah,
Just a comment, I'm wondering vis-a-vis grants, if the fact that Drift-In goes to a beach that's used by the public and we have a municipal parking lot for Drift-In Beach
nearby, right,
nearby, so it's definitely considered a public
oh, yeah,
right, resource,
place.
right,
And Drift-In also gives access in its own way to the lighthouse. And of
Right.
course, Marshall Point has the lighthouse, which is also open to the public and
Right.
historic, if those
Right.
things might help with.
you
any
can
kind
help
of-
with the grant writing. You're all,
Susie.
me too.
Line her up.
yeah, I mean,
And the-
that's right,
And the
Yeah.
other thing is, of course, I live at the end of Horse Point Road. And it's always fascinated me that there is that extremely low place.
right,
And I've always been curious, what is under the road as foundational materials?
Right.
Because it looks like whatever
Nothing.
was there was just paved over, which is the way you did things in the old days. And
you mean where the ducks are, the duck crossing and stuff?
where the marsh is.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it seems to me as a non-scientist that it's unlikely we're going to have a huge surge that will come over that road and tear it out.
unlikely,
I hope so.
okay,
But Tanya Fisher's house might be affected by that, despite the wonderful granite bulwark that she has there. But I am curious about what would happen if all of us who live beyond that very, very low place would be cut off from all services.
Right.
The feasibility of doing a road up through people's private property to the Glenmere seems ridiculous
mhm,
and totally impractical, eminent domain and all that
No,
other
no,
stuff.
can't do that.
And snow plowing something up that hill would
Right.
be terrible. So those of us who live beyond that low place are curious,
right,
well, what kind of work will be done on Horse Point Road, and will the bridge be beautiful?
yeah, right,
Gonna be a
We,
lovely.
we laugh about,
Well, no, don't laugh.
it's not funny.
I know.
right,
And we talked about how the University of Maine has these bridges in a box that
Yeah,
can't be built, and how sturdy they would be.
yeah,
If it is a non-surge.
yeah, I mean,
Condition.
Dan Tishman talked about 3D bridges and stuff that are printing, 3D printing and all the modern things that are
like
Yeah.
they did
coming
the
down the
bridge
pipe.
at the gig, that went in very little time, the bridge at the gig store, so,
Showed up pre-built.
yeah. Yeah, so they just had to build
Goes down
the
versus kind
abutments.
of sections.
So we're gonna get there.
And some of us are old, so we do need emergency services.
Yes,
Yeah, right,
yes.
We won't be around.
Well, that's why we have the new town boat, so they can come in.
Very. Yeah, plenty of boats and boat.
yes, these are tough challenges. All right, well, if the Port Clyde folks want to go, they may, or you may stay. The next thing I wanted to talk about, just to, make sure everybody is aware of what's happening and that we're all on the same page is, at our last meeting, was that really just our last
It
meeting?
was.
Um, Rob Kelly and, the school board, some school board members and the superintendent were here, and Jessica Berry, to talk about, the fact that the CDC is interested in donating to the town, the old C Studio building. And we all agreed that if we can do it, we'd put it on the November 3rd ballot. So, I've sent to, the school board and the superintendent's dates that, the town has put together so that we know when, counting backwards, from November 3rd, you gotta make sure you have the public hearing, absentee ballots get printed, all these different things that would have to happen, to put that referendum on the ballot. And so the warrant article has to be finalized in September. And a public hearing would happen in either late September. The latest it could happen would be around October 20th, but I said I thought it'd be better if they had it a little before that, in case people had questions and you had a chance to answer the questions before the vote. And I also wanted to clarify with them that the school, the St. George MSU, would be the responsible, would be operating whatever's happening in that building. Because Jessica had mentioned the Zero to School nonprofit. And, for the taxpayers to vote on accepting a building to be a town building, I think it's one thing when all of us feel like the school is gonna run what happens in there. But it would be different if a nonprofit was gonna run what was happening in there. We wouldn't normally accept buildings for nonprofits. So,
Well, and there just would be no need to involve the town. One
Right,
nonprofit
the
could donate
nonprofit
it to
would-
another
keep
nonprofit.
it.
It'd be much better to keep the town out of it.
Right, but the superintendent confirmed that it is the school board's intention for this to be, this is all because we gotta get the warrant article drafted, so it says who, who's gonna run stuff in there. And we want it to be accurate, so are you coming tomorrow too?
Mhm.
So Brandon and I are meeting tomorrow with the school board president, the superintendent, Rob Kelly and Tom Judge, just to make sure that we get this little calendar nailed down. And the town attorney has started drafting the warrant article. And just to make sure everybody's on the same page about how it's gonna work so that there wouldn't be any blips or misunderstandings. And one thing is, if there are any proposed budget ramifications, which it sounded like if their plan is that until the next budget vote, it would just be the storage fees, that's not a big deal. But if the voters were gonna be asked to be undertaking payments of pay something extra to do something before our next budget votes, then that would have to be in the warrant article too. And the budget committees for the town and the school board would have to have recommendations, how we have those recommendations in a referendum that they recommend that we do this or whatever. So I
We're
just.
not anticipating that.
No, I don't think anybody is, but I just want to make sure before, because this November 3rd isn't that far away.
No.
And I want to make sure that we are thinking of everything we need to think of and tie up all
The
this
building
stuff.
needs all kinds of renovations, and I think the plan is to try to do a lot of private fundraising.
Right, that's right. But, I want the voters to know exactly what we're all agreeing to when we vote yes, you know, we want the school to do this. So, does anybody have any thoughts about that? I just didn't want to be doing that without the rest of the select board knowing that that was happening.
Well, we should, yeah, I agree, we should have our I's dotted and our T's crossed, you know.
Right,
Because everybody's on the same page,
right,
everybody knows what everybody wants.
And especially voters need to know exactly what's gonna happen and what to
Right.
expect.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
And then I think they'll support it.
Oh, yeah.
right,
It's for the kids.
yeah.
And the school is really crowded.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing. I mean, last year when we voted to take in the kids starting at their third birthday, nobody told us then that we were gonna need another building to put them in. I would have been, you know, I mean, they should have probably been able to figure that out and they could have told us then, we're gonna be looking for a building and we'll be coming back to you if we get one. But anyway, here we are and we'll make sure everybody knows what's what.
Well, part of that too is that they have to move out of 47 Main Street.
Hmm.
So their superintendent office is going back into the building. That's part of the press on.
And that took up space.
That's just one person's office.
No, there's three
It's like-
people.
It was up inside of the building.
But that's not like the little people that are,
Well, the thing you don't understand is, spend a day in the school, that one room, actually, it's a room with 5 rooms in it, I think, 4.
right,
Is actually, that one space actually makes a big difference when it comes to dealing
This-
with kids, you know?
okay,
And when you take that space away, cause some kids need 101, they have
Yes.
to be, so you take that space away. Yeah, it makes a difference.
Okay.
It doesn't seem it, but
Five
it does make a
classes,
difference.
You know,
Yeah.
their offices and.
Yeah,
okay,
and that weren't anticipated either,
Okay.
especially have to come out of 47, I don't think.
so, all right, well, so that meeting is tomorrow with the school folks to try and get all coordinated. Oh, and I know you're all excited to look at the select board policy. Yeah. The door.
It's not a great evening.
If only we could go, right?
We should be, where are they?
So. I figured if we got through page 30 or 31 tonight, then we can chip away at this. The first one that I thought needed our consideration was on page 7, tax acquired property. Did anybody else have anything before?
Honestly, I didn't really look at it.
All right, well, the ones that we'll take our time on the ones that, anybody flags. So you make it bigger.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, put your glasses.
So we changed this one 2 years ago and the reason for that was that the Supreme Court made a decision that said what Maine had been doing wasn't constitutional. And so we said from now on, we'll make sure we follow the law, whatever we're supposed to be doing. But at that time, we didn't really know yet how it was gonna work. So my question for you, Brandon, does the MMA now provide the procedure that we follow, or does Bill Kelly provide it? How are we knowing what to do now?
It's law now, so
Right.
we use Bill Kelly, but we don't use MMA for it.
I'm just wondering whether a select board policy should be drafted that says we're gonna do A, B, C, and D like a checklist, or if it's, because if we're just gonna follow the law, then that's what it says now. We could leave it the way it is. Do you think?
What do you mean? You have to follow the law.
Well, right, of course we do, but I'm just wondering if there's any benefit to spelling out the steps that we are taking
Under the
there's
new
no,
law.
there's no benefit to the staff, but this is y'all's policy manual. If you all would find benefit, I don't really know how each of you use this manual and to what frequency.
I look at it when we review it.
That was my thought. So
Right.
I don't know how much time you want to spend spelling it out in there.
But I would think to keep it simple, if you just follow what, I don't know how you word it.
Regulation.
Yeah, or the new state and federal.
State statute and.
Right, and whatever, I mean, as selectmen, whoever's selectmen and looking at this, our town manager, hopefully it's Brendan. Knows, well, Bill Kelly, cause like you just said, you know, we go to Bill
Right.
Kelly, cause it's the law. So I think if we
We
just
don't
keep
really
it.
have any choice.
Right, if it just stays the way, I don't think we have to spell it out, but basically, we're gonna call Bill Kelly and say, this is what we got.
Yeah, it's not a piece that we would wanna navigate without Bill. I mean, and we have to use a realtor as well, and they have, you know, their own sort of standards that they have to follow as
Right.
well, so.
Well, I think as long as the town manager knows what to do and we know that it's following the law, that's kind of, we don't really
I
need.
mean,
to
if we're
say
not
anything
using
different.
MMA, we could take that line out there.
Yeah, I mean, we could,
Yeah,
would be
maybe
simple.
just follow input,
right, okay.
somehow maybe put the town lawyer or the town law.
I want to turn the and follow the law.
All right, well, I can make some general changes that say
Because
that.
it's really the, whatever realtor, you all select working with the town's attorney to dispose of tax acquired property, so.
But then, and the notice is that the law requires the town attorney is gonna tell us, you know, like all the stuff that went in there. I mean,
I think
what
we-
changed was giving people back the surplus. And that, you know,
That was
it's
a big
like,
change, right?
it's
We
a
don't get
big
to keep the
change,
money.
but- it's just like you write one check. It didn't change the steps before. You get to where you've got money in the bank.
I don't know if we'd
Yeah,
want this.
the notice schedule hasn't changed at all with that.
It has not, the one thing that we have been doing is waiting until a property has been tax acquired for 5 years, because at that point, it's much harder for the previous owner to.
They can't appeal it after 5
Yeah,
years.
they can't appeal it after the
Maybe
5
that
years,
should
so
be in there somewhere, so we
that's
know
what
that.
we've been doing.
That's not a law, that's our town
It's not-
policy.
That's been what we've used as an internal policy, partially because our list is also pretty lengthy, you know, it wasn't addressed for
Right.
a decade or
Started
more,
working.
and so that was an easy way for us to start and to prioritize it.
Yeah, we made some real.
So that would
progress.
likely be Bill Kelly's advice, even if, you know, our list only had 2 or 3 properties, was to leave them alone until.
And I don't know if this is
It's not a
something,
lot, so it might be worth differentiating in here. I can't think of a time when the town would be more inclined to act faster on it, but.
yeah, give people a chance.
And what about the disbursement of the surplus? How is that handled now? If there is one?
Yeah, well, now the difference between someone purchasing the property versus the previous owner paying the back taxes is that we're entitled to all of the interest.
Right.
And any cost associated with selling the property, any legal fees.
Right.
Real estate agent, whatever, those get paid. off
To
the
us,
top.
we keep all that.
We keep that, and a separate check is issued, for the surplus. And then we either distribute the surplus to the previous owner, or, in the last 2 situations, I've sent it to the state as unclaimed property because of the extenuating circumstances.
Right. So the statute specifies what costs there are that we can keep.
Yes.
Yes. So I think if it just said, we keep the costs specified by the statute and then issue the disbursement to the taxpayer, or if that person can't be identified, then it escheats to the state, right? That's what happened in that instance.
Yeah, Well, the owner had passed away and
Right.
did not have a will.
Right,
So it's an estate thing.
No, because there was no estate.
Okay.
There was no will filed with probate and.
it's like abandoned property then.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
essentially I just turned the cash over.
But
to
I
the
think if we
state
just say
under that person.
disperse the way the statute says, and, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I think the only piece that you would wanna add is the piece around the waiting 5 years. to
Yeah.
Sell
Yeah,
tax
I
compliant
think that
property.
should be in there too. I had one question, which is, do we want to specify that we use a local real estate broker? Because I'm in favor of that, but I don't know if we need to put it in there.
I don't think we should put it in, because just right now we have
We
St.
have one,
George
but we might
Realtors.
not.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, okay.
I mean, I think we. Plus, if it, for some reason, if we're not in the interest of the town, then we shouldn't do it. I mean,
Right.
we tend to think that that's always gonna be in the interest of the town, but
It might not.
it might
someday,
not
yeah.
I
somehow.
mean, either way, you have to go through an RFP process, and so.
Right, so that,
Yeah,
so I don't know if people stop me if you have other, policies you wanna get to. The next one on my list was the website, page 14. So in this policy, it says, scroll down a little more, it tells, yeah, that blue line, constant contact, was used to support our email subscriber list. I suspect this is no longer,
No, it's not.
because we now have the Aptigee people, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so we have a different contractor,
All right.
different outfit for our website. So that needs to be updated. And then if you go to page 17. This is the first substantive thing. This is our website policy. And go to content, website content and changes. Now it says the decision to include or not include content or services on the town website resides with the website administrator. It seems to me like what we're putting out to the public should be the responsibility of the select board, not Bill Batty or Brandon or whoever is the website administrator. Obviously you guys are the ones that implement anything, but what do you all think?
I think the select board, I think Brandon should be, the town manager should be involved, because it might be something that doesn't, sort of pertain to the select board, but yet the town manager feels that it should be on there.
Right, I'm just more thinking who should make decisions about content. Not every little, like the town calendar, what goes on August 19th or something. But, you know, like if the resilience information or whatever information that we think should be posted. And we say, we want you to post stuff on there.
I think if there's an issue, they could be brought to our board, but I don't think the day-to-day stuff, I don't think we want to be involved with.
That's
it. We have to
that's
trust-
kind of what I meant was.
We have to
day-to-day
trust our
stuff.
administrator
There's
to
nothing
take care of,
controversial that needs to be discussed before it goes on.
then they can be brought to us, but otherwise,
I thought it was
You and Bill know what to do and they know what to
Yeah,
put on. there.
I think we should trust.
So we can leave it.
I think it's
Yeah.
working pretty well. I don't think there's any problems.
Yeah. I feel like if there was something that was very, controversial, they would bring it to us anyway.
Yeah. All right, so the next thing I have, I take it you guys weren't combing through this like I was.
No,
On page 25,
which page?
25,
25. That's right, we could do the whole book.
no. Cause, well, I only went to page 31.
Oh.
It doesn't mean we can't, but on page 25, it talks about, public comment.
Oh,
They're open public comment. Now, what it says here is that public comment may be limited to 30 minutes. And you know, it's never, well, I take it back. There was one meeting we had last fall where public comment, I allowed public comment to go on for like 40 minutes or something. But we couldn't just do that every time. I mean,
No, I think it would be under the discretion of the chair, though, you know, what it's about. You know, there's gonna be people that want to voice their opinion.
well, I wouldn't want just me to be deciding to cut off public comment. What I think we should do is, you know, when we had the meeting about the trans child playing sports, the select board at the beginning of the meeting decided on, how long the public comment would be and how many minutes each person could speak. The 5 of us voted, and then that was the rule for that day. Now, we knew that whole meeting was, almost the whole meeting was gonna be public comment, and that was reasonable. But it seems to me if people just showed up out of the blue one night and starts taking up a lot of time, I think what we ought to have it say is that we could take a time out and we would vote, like, we only have 5 more minutes for public comment. Or if there's a ton of people, that we would decide we're only gonna have 20 minutes for a public comment tonight, and each person should talk.
Well, can we leave it at 30 and in there? I'm gonna word it, so like 3 minutes per individual.
Right,
And then if it needs to be, like you said, we could, you know, you could stop the meeting and say, you know, this looks like it's gonna go over 30 minutes.
right,
I'm in favor of going to 60 minutes.
right.
You know,
Or do
would
we
that
need
make
to
sense?
wrap it up? Yes.
Right, because I mean, and to me, it depends on what the agenda is too.
That's right.
I know people will get heated over things like that situation, but if we have a big agenda.
Right. And you just can't accommodate all kinds of.
Right, we can always tell the people we can have a special board meeting.
Right.
Just for that particular thing. I mean, does that make sense?
It already says that it's subject to the reasonable rules and order established by the chairperson.
Yeah, I'm not sure that,
If you wanna just change chairperson to select board,
I don't think this limits you in any way currently as it's written. I think that,
it already says that you can change, you know, you set reasonable rules right then and there.
and so if that reasonable rule is that everybody's held to 2 minutes because you're keeping it to 30 and you've
Right.
got, you know, 15 people that want to talk, that's a
At any
reasonable.
point in time,
Right.
you could take a minute and say, all right, we need to change this today because it's gotten out of hand.
Can
I
you
think
go
the chair has
so
that
we can see?
discretion.
They do,
Right.
and that's the chair.
Well, I mean, like she said, they're not sure it should be.
Well, there's more
Yeah.
words on
You
page.
can change the person to select board if you want.
Well, again, but, the big controversy was before was the windmills.
Yeah.
And all the fishermen coming in, and Richard,
don't have balance.
they do, but Richard made it, you know.
Right after a little bit, you say, all right, we need to have an.
Right.
extra meeting for this."
Keep rehashing the same thing over and over again.
Kick a dead horse and you don't get.
Yeah, when you get debates going, sometimes you get people, they start to repeat.
Now, you need to
You're
go
on.
to the one before, because that's just about public comment on agenda items. It's the open public comment section.
That's what we were
That
just
is-
talking
yeah.
about, Jane, that
I know, but I needed to read again, sorry.
I think this policy is fine, it's flexible, and if we need to set a certain agenda before we have a meeting that we're gonna allow longer comment time, or shorter comment time, or. You know,
You could do as if you know it's gonna be a big crowd coming in, you know, like going up. something, a lot of people.
Right,
You could do, like she passes the clipboard around to get people out of here, you could do, like, first one comes to the door, do the first 10.
right,
And say, we're only gonna do the first 10 because we don't, you know, as time restrictions,
right.
you know, we could do it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that, when,
It's like it gives us some wiggle room.
okay,
I think it does.
Sounds like the consensus is to leave it as it is.
yeah, no, that's fine. I just,
It's flexible and it works, and we can change it.
well, see, what I was thinking was the sentence that says by majority vote, the select board may increase the time for public comment and adjust the items. I think if it said or decrease the time, like if the, I don't know. I mean, if there
You're
was,
saying you wouldn't want to ever, like, there might be times you don't want to entertain 30 minutes of public comment.
I think that could happen.
I would recommend that you don't
Leave.
put that in there. I think if you've got a well-attended
right.
meeting by the public, give them
Then you
30
just
minutes and cut out
skip the committee meeting
Exactly.
reports
Yeah.
or something. Okay,
Just
that's
the
great.
agenda too.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you for this discussion.
Ooh.
I can scratch that. Let's see. On page 30, after page 30 is about
access.
remote access. And then, you know, we've had in here right before all this, it's been about different record keeping and whatnot. I wondered if we should have a policy that says anything about the fact what we're doing with the posting the recordings on YouTube. You know, we've basically decided that we're going to post most of our meeting, the select board's meetings on the town YouTube channel. But we're not committing to posting every single one, like when we meet for 5 minutes on Christmas Eve to authorize, you know, disbursements or something. And that we're encouraging the committees to post, but we're not requiring everybody to do it. Do you think we should be saying something in here about that? Instead of sort of the policy that's evolved over time that we're doing? Do you have any thoughts?
I think similarly, it's, I mean, I'm not sure that you need a policy. You know, it's not an official record. Right now, it's just
Right.
a way to help increase public engagement.
Communication.
Bill and I make subjective decisions about what meetings get posted. I don't necessarily subscribe to the belief that, you know, the more information, the better. I think at times that can make your source be oversaturated and then people kind of tune it out. And so we'll put a harbor committee meeting on if there's a specific issue that we think is going to would be beneficial for the public to hear. If it's just sort of routine, run-of-the-mill updates, we don't always post it, just so that folks can more easily navigate, you know, our channel, find what they're looking for. So I don't know that you need a policy because, I mean, otherwise you would need a policy on sort of every staff task that.
No, I don't. I mean, as long as everybody's clear that the official records are the minutes of the boards and committees, not these recordings.
Yeah, I mean, like Brandon said, I mean, if it's not, well, you guys, you and Billy, you said, thing is, the minutes are posted too, so if there's something that's
Right.
not in the YouTube, cause it was whatever, they can go on, I mean, to me, it makes people, oh, I got, you know, and they go on to the minutes,
Right.
you know, make some research maybe.
Yeah, you'll still be able to get minutes for every meeting.
Well, that,
You just, you know, it's,
But most meetings are recorded with sound
Mhm.
or whatever, so, you know.
I don't think YouTube really has anything to do with remote access. For public.
No, it would be a separate thing that I was just thinking, if we were gonna do it, it would go after this.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Before we got to the next,
So it wouldn't be part of this. particular-
no, it wouldn't be part of this.
So this was the only policy that I was looking at and I don't think we, do they take phone calls anymore to
Yes.
get access? Because I called about that one time and Bill said I had to go to the. He gave
Oh,
me-
right,
He said he.
web admin.
Yeah, you
whatever it
gotta
is.
go to this new web address to get
Oh,
and give your information and he will send you the link, but none of this information on there is correct.
So will you check with Bill and see if that policy should be changed to
Yeah, it
comport with
should.
his current practice
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
web admin?
Might need
and-
updates.
Was only that.
Good. Well, there is, on page 31, there, I did get as much of that. There is, something that I think that needs to be changed.
What's good is we haven't been hacked in a long time.
Oh, God, did we?
Knock on wood, don't jinx it.
I was like, wow.
It
So,
was wild.
on page 31, the compensation for the select board changed July 1st, and that whatever it is now, however it's calculated now, it needs to say that in here. I don't know. Was it a flat fee per year, or is it a certain amount per meeting,
Per month,
per month? It's a,
I think it was. There was a certain amount that was set for the year and I just divided it by 12 and everybody gets paid once a month.
and the select board chair gets 20% more. I recall.
Oh, I know
So I'm
that.
like rolling in money here.
I can't
My
think,
extra
Joe.
$200 a year. So whatever it is now, it needs to,
Really, okay.
say.
I could make truck payment.
So that's as far as I got, and then we should, take the next chunk for the next meeting.
Was that 32?
That's good.
All right, so let's see where we are. I know, this stuff is thrilling. I'm amazed you guys are, hanging in there.
Please, please.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So,
He's listening to the ballgame when he's here. And
so I wanted to tell you one piece of good news. Well, maybe it's good news, we'll see. You know, I had provided the cell service report, and then Nicole told us that, you know, they had put in those fem to cell extender mini tower, whatever they are, things, gizmos on top of Squid Ink and the Seaside building. And the first things that they put on there supported 6 additional lines and boosted the signal to 6 phones. Those were so successful, they changed them out for something that boosts up to 40 phones for each building. And she said at busy times, those show that all 80 lines are being supported on those 2 properties. So anyway, I updated the cell service report to say that, and then I sent it to the main office of community affairs. You all saw that. And that guy, somebody from Maine Connectivity emailed us last week, and they're gonna come down here. Because the state is doing a report on the cell service in Maine, and you know, maybe if they, you know, they made a big effort to expand broadband everywhere, and our town took advantage of that, and now there's broadband down every dirt road in St. George. So we can only hope that
It could be a country song.
they, that they're, anyway, they're gonna come down here, I think a week from Friday or something, and we'll
Did she, I
share.
don't know, did she say how much that was? How much?
Yeah, she said the things that, support 40 lines were $1,500.
That was through their account. Cause they're a premium provider.
That's right. We don't know what costs the general public, but
Okay.
I did put, a link to gizmos, like, I don't know what to call them. Like that in the report, and also there are some different gizmos that don't support just Verizon cell service. What they got only supports Verizon phones. But there are some different ones that would support AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon.
So I'm thinking is if it would be coming into, budget time is to look into it, invest in it for town properties
Right,
to help people plus,
right. And the library, I mean, I think,
Right.
I was having dinner at the Cragner the other day, and I told Greg, that they were having really great luck with this at Colby's properties. And he's said, email me the information
Mhm.
because he's having so much trouble at the Cragner, even answering the phone to take reservations or he said it's just so much worse. And
Like we said, it's going downhill. I
it
think.
really has.
Yeah, I thought that after we met and she was explaining it was, there would be some to invest, like I said, for town properties to help. You
Right.
know, people in the town, the
Right.
major town properties and.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what these people from the state have to say, because they might be aware of other things. And I did there are some tech advisor people, just like, those outfits that'll come and put in a speaker and a big TV in your house or whatever, if you can't do it yourself. There are people that know about these things, and I thought, there might be some local
Maybe
companies.
there's some grant money.
Yeah, right. Anita,
I go back a long time, Mom Bell,
the old party lines, right, Anita?
Ring two, down one.
where if your
I don't
phone
remember.
did not work, they would come and take the phone out and give you a new phone. They were responsible for everything. And I'm a little, but I hung in here for the connectivity. Have we reached a point in this country where we're all gonna have to install in our homes and in our communities the technology antenna, whatever it is, that is required to get service? And we also pay for service.
Right.
And I'm going back to when Spectrum told me, sure, that they would bring a line into my house and it would cost me $4,800 and they
Right.
would own it.
Right.
And I would get no discount. I would have to pay full service cost. And I thought, I'm paying for their capital investment
Right.
and they're selling stock and making a huge
Yeah.
profit.
What's wrong with this picture?
You should have bought the stock and then got the line.
Have we reached a point, which is a question for the state and the federal government, which of course doesn't care? Have we reached a point where we're gonna have to pay to put antennas in all of our houses just to keep connectivity with cell phones?
Well, and
I mean,
that's why I'm
and who
glad these
owns-
people are coming.
who owns what Colby is gonna put in?
Well,
Do they get a
Colby,
discount?
Oh,
on the
because,
service?
yeah.
It's
I mean,
from their
Colby's
cell phone
paying-
service.
Colby's paying for those extenders, and for them, they weren't very expensive.
$1,500 multiplied by 1 million people, you got real.
No,
money.
that's right. That's right. I mean, I think that's why I was really encouraged that these people from the state are paying attention to this issue.
Yeah,
That the fact, that we had done this study here and have gathered some information is of some interest to them, and we'll find out whether the state is gonna decide that this is critical infrastructure in modern day America, because I think most of us would say that it is.
It's gonna happen. I think long as like CMP, I feel that you don't invest in the infrastructure. You pay your bill, but the money don't go into the infrastructure.
and you presume that you pay your bill
Right.
and they recoup their cost over time from the way that we all pay our bills and from the stock and they're the bean counters on it. I resent the idea that I'm going to be told,
Right.
probably in the near future, if I'm still in this world, that I need to install an antenna in my house.
It's gonna happen,
Yeah.
or the community, or the town's gonna have to invest in it.
Right, or the
Right.
town is gonna have to buy all kinds of antennas to put up all over town so that we have vital services.
Is it
Or
not
heavy
furnace, is it?
It's heating
Yeah,
hard.
it is.
Is that the heat coming on?
Now, the thing is that boiler, so if the water temperature in the
Oh,
goes down. It
Oh, for the.
somebody's taking a shower upstairs.
Yeah, and I know this is a huge topic, but I'm very concerned about it.
I know. And
Well, in the report too, they did highlight that there are still other service alternatives that private citizens could, you can change your service if you're not satisfied with.
That's what I was told when I had to change from US Cellular to T-Mobile.
right,
I was told by a snitty person at T-Mobile, I could go next door to Verizon.
But that's what their mentality, because people do now. I went to Verizon from US Cellular, I went from, and everybody switches back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because I hear a lot of people about T-Mobile, I switched from US Cellular because I had to T-Mobile, I haven't had a problem getting reception. Even in Fort Clyde, you know, but my Verizon phone, which is the schools, the work phone, even in the school or even in my house, on the other end of town, I can't get reception, but my T-Mobile phone doesn't.
I had to buy a new phone.
I did
in
that
order
in order to do it, yeah.
to have the technology of T-Mobile.
Right, I had to.
I mean, I was forced to.
How is your reception in Port Clyde with T-Mobile, like at your house?
Once I bought the new phone and spent close to 6 hours up there in 3 different visits, it works, but it's only one bar. It's not much.
Right.
It's hanging in there by a thread.
Well,
And I have to pay more per month than I
Right.
did with US Cellular, and I didn't have a problem with reception with US
at
Cellular.
the fire station, I had 1 or 2 bars, but if I moved my toe, I lost one. Seriously, it was like, oh, I got it, and then it's like, oh.
That's exactly right, so I'm waiting to get a notice that if we have poor reception, we should buy antennas.
Well,
When I
this
was a kid, my folks rented a farmhouse on Heart's Neck and the phone still had a crank
Right.
and it worked. And then, you know, my brother and I would listen in and someone would say, get off the line, you
You
kids.
know you're there.
Yeah.
My grandmother worked in the switch station, they were down reception. Well, no.
But at
So-
least that was friendly. I don't.
Yeah,
it was. That was-
Yeah,
It
right.
was not
this
friendly.
is all about money, right?
It is.
The private companies,
It's
and-
all
yeah.
about that.
So, and I did, Jane asked this when I gave the report before, I did send the report to the guy from Verizon, just saying,
Okay.
this is the report that we submitted and, you know, you should just be aware that some people in town might choose to make changes
Yeah.
based on the report, so. So anyway, I'll keep you posted, but that's my big news on that.
This is why I keep my landline.
I have a
Well,
landline too.
I have a landline that costs me a fortune because they won't let me give up long distance.
Oh, really?
I have to have long distance because I don't want everybody to know my cell phone number, so I keep my landline, but I have to pay long distance.
Oh.
And it's actually, to me, it's a lot of money.
You don't have a bundle with?
What's that?
You don't have
No,
a
I
bundle
haven't.
with
That it
cable or
costs me too
something?
much money.
Nothing's cheap, it doesn't.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy, everything.
Moving along.
All right, so the next concert is August 19th.
Yep,
That should be exciting, and you're gonna be prepared for drizzle.
that's the hope. We're gonna try to come up with something, you know, this is the last concert of the summer at this point. There's nothing else scheduled,
Thank you
so.
guys for coming.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for being so open.
It won't be, you know, for this first concert or this last concert, I mean, it won't be a long-term solution, but we are gonna try to come up with something for that evening, at least to keep the band dry. That way, if folks are willing to put their raincoats on and hang
Well,
out,
it's the public land and they can wear oil gear.
the band.
It kind of goes with the theme.
Well, right, I mean, you could tell last time that the public was willing to stay, but they were getting out towels and wiping off their instruments after every song.
They've invested a lot of money.
Because it wasn't rain, it really was just like drizzle. I would have stayed
It's
longer
gonna
if they
get
were
like
playing
a
longer.
clamshell type awning that can be taken up and put down easy enough to.
Yeah, we're gonna look into something like that, using some of the infrastructure that's down there, maybe the hoist to, you know, lift it. You know, with just 1 or 2 guys every time.
Kind
That'll
of
be-
ironic since we've had so little rain.
Oh, it's pitiful.
But either way, we're gonna monitor the weather and come up with a short-term solution for the last concert if we need to.
I mean, that music for the last one that got rained out, music was great.
Yeah,
I
it
was
was really good.
really up for it, you know.
All right, town managers report.
I had one piece of communication with the public that I think deserves some at least discussion from you all, and it's about Long Cove Quarry. and the swimming club that happens there. Apparently, folks now are being charged to use it. And so the resident was saying that if somebody's running a business out of the quarry, feels like it should probably go before planning board for review to make sure. His main concerns are, there's no toilets, there's no trash cans, and then any sort of limitations on parking because
Well, what about liability insurance?
I was just gonna think that, I think that it should go.
That's
planning board.
What do you mean? That's
Well, if somebody's running a business,
Right, but we
right,
wanna make sure they have the insurance to cover,
I would hope that, but I mean, it's right, it's a business owner's
right.
problem, but.
But
I
the
think it
town
should
would
be-
have some requirements around,
Parking and all that.
yeah, and bathrooms.
I think it should go to the planning board.
I'm not sure what the process for triggering that is. Jane, you're the liaison, right?
Well,
No,
wouldn't
Randy.
it fall under
The
Terry,
liaison.
well, wouldn't it fall under Terry as the code enforcement officer first? To-
Well,
To address it?
whenever if you're running a business, you have to, apply, you have to get a permit to run a business. If you're,
I mean, I think the code enforcement officer would be the one to investigate and bring it before, I'll bring the issue up.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I'm not the planning board liaison and I don't know
They
Randy.
don't meet, they're not meeting this.
This must be very recent, because I went to the quarry recently and there was nobody.
Yeah, someone, I don't know how they do it. I don't know if they wait till everybody to get in there, cause I heard about it the other day. And, if someone, it was a woman showed up, I don't know if they went down and started telling people that they had to pay. I'm not sure how they did it.
I think that they put an attendant at the,
At the gate,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
That's what I've heard. There's an
Huh.
attendant.
So I know people are coming in on the back side, sneaking in on the back side.
Wow, I'm amazed.
So, I don't know, somebody, should I reach out to, Ann then?
Yeah,
All right, I will do that.
Yes, they don't, I got Terry sent an email last week that they're not meeting this month, there's nothing.
I'm sorry to hear that. It's always open. to
Only
people,
had
and
one.
I didn't mind signing up for the swim club, but hey.
maybe they will be meeting after all, Randy. Who knows?
Um,
I don't know how they think making a profit off of it. I don't know.
Well, that's not our business.
No,
That's the business.
Must be about quarry.
The town are barely making it go, but they're up to them.
now that Port Five Landing is up and running well, we've been trying to put a little bit of attention to Tenants Harbor Public Landing, and so, just refurbished the sign down there and replaced the cork board, and, so that is a resource for, folks with community events that want to post them. Trying to order some piling caps. We've got some of the longer term projects that need to happen. Maybe I shared them at the last meeting, but the ramp itself needs some work, and then we will need to reset pilings in the near future. But that's got a cost of somewhere around $320,000 for a rough estimate. Yeah, it's about 10 grand of piling and 32 of them. So
is it? Oh, go ahead, sorry, I'll wait till then.
some of those repairs may be incorporated into the harbor management plan, depending on the direction the committee decides to go with it. Otherwise, I think Aaron and Ryan will just continue to monitor any opportunities. We were looking at the CHIP grant. Did we miss the timeline this year, or was it the?
I don't.
Oh, it's a 50% match, so we would still need, somewhere in the ballpark of $200,000. We've got about 96 in the reserve, but a ways to go to be ready for a ship grant.
Which reserve is that in?
The public landing reserve.
Oh, so there is a public landing reserve.
Mhm.
And you're talking
Is
about
it-
the one here.
And it's already,
So there's a separate one?
There's a
Is it
public landings reserve.
for one category for both.
Yep, although I believe Port Clyde Public Landing has a separate reserve as well.
Okay.
How urgent do you think it is that we get started on that?
It's not unsafe. We had an engineer come down and inspect it and all that.
Just work that needs to be done.
Yeah. So we have time. I just sort of want it on,
Yeah.
the board's radar. Yeah, that's a pretty major, in terms of major capital projects in the near future. That one's, besides Drifton Road and besides our normal road stuff that's already going on, that's probably the other piece of infrastructure that's gonna need.
Should the resilience committee be involved with that, if we're gonna do work to it, to bring it up? To that,
No, it's a good question.
like we did with Port Clyde when we.
Well, we didn't with Port Clyde. Port Clyde's not at really the elevation that it should be.
No, but we brought it up some of what it was,
Mhm.
but should that be some resilience committee to be involved with too, to?
I'm not sure what the current elevation on it is, but maybe we can at least get that
We could
data.
get that.
That's a good point, though.
I mean, if we're gonna do work to it. And
That's right, we should plan.
we're looking at raising stuff or it's probably, maybe,
Mhm.
maybe there's a grant to help do with that.
Right.
Right. That's right.
Resilience type term.
Yep. Great.
All
Aaron
right.
and I will see if we can find any of its current elevation data. And
I know that when that was put in, redone, Timmy could tell you, it was a state grant
mhm,
that did that. And it, and one of the stipulations was there could be no commercial use. Like you couldn't come sell lobsters at the, whatever. So he could probably help you.
Around what year was that?
Gosh, I couldn't tell you. I know past Selectmen's meetings when I was looking before, it was, it was mentioned that the state
Had done that.
had done that.
I don't think we were talking about raising anything back then.
No, back then, but you
No,
could say
but I
maybe
was just
in the work,
wondering.
what the elevation or how it was.
I believe, Aaron, isn't it in the same program, LC,
LWCF.
LWCF? And so,
Those plans,
yeah. And you can have commercial operations at an LWCF site. It can't be your primary use. of
Right,
the
well,
site.
yeah.
So, there are, some restrictions based on it being, a designated site, but, like there's a marked boundary and everything. I don't think that we would run into any problems. We would just have to inform them of the improvements being.
What does that stand for?
Land and Water Conservation Fund.
Oh,
Yeah. We have a handful of those sites around town, and they all come with a perpetual stewardship clause, and so they essentially have to remain
The
in
original Port Clyde Landing, I think, did too, didn't it?
so the boat ramp down there,
Right.
the soccer field behind the school,
Yeah.
the big ball field, the basketball courts by the school.
Mhm.
Did I miss one, Aaron? Oh, and then drift in parking lot.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I'll skip ahead. Aaron and I had a site visit with an LWCF rep at Snows Point Lodge. Considering them as, a potential funding partner. I think that we've got a really strong case based on our meeting with him. And I don't, I think I had already run the sort of perpetual stewardship piece by the board to make
Yes.
sure that you all were all right with heading down that road. I do think Aaron and I will spend some time trying to break the project out into phases. And we may try to attack it that way rather than waiting until we have, a couple $100,000 of raised funds that can be matched. We can sort of piecemeal it together. You don't have to do your LWCF grant in one go. You can apply again once your first phase is complete. So
Really?
Summer joined us for that meeting, which was great to get a committee member there to sort of get them invested in that project.
Well, yes, I think you've got our full support for a long-term commitment that we would maintain that property for those purposes at Snows Point Lodge.
It essentially makes it a park, so similar to a state park.
The outdoor part of it.
No, even
the building.
if the building's primary purpose is serving outdoor recreation on that site or on any other LWCF site, so the other ones that I named, then those improvements can be supported by these funds.
That's good. And the person that came down seemed to be impressed with it.
Yeah, he was really excited to
Great.
at the opportunity and what could exist there. So
Good.
Cool.
Yes, we need money.
yeah.
It's great. I
Bring
mean,
money.
it's
St.
just
George Green.
that we got so many great things going on. It's hard to get them all done at the speed we'd like. So more money would be helpful.
Sure would. As I mentioned, paving budget came under and we had enough to do another road. And so we'll be doing Marshall Point Road this summer. I don't believe
Are you gonna have night lights out? How are you gonna do it?
It's tricky. And so, it'll take some public coordination. We're gonna do it right after Labor Day. A lot of the lighthouse traffic slows down then. The road from the lighthouse out to the
Wait a
pillars.
second. National Lighthouse Day is in September, just so you remember that when you're planning. Talk to Nat, when every lighthouse is open, is like third weekend in September or something.
I've put this on Nat's
Okay.
radar that we're shooting for right after Labor Day.
Okay.
I think if he has any concerns about specific days, I will let him.
I say that if it needs to be done, we do it.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I realize what they're doing or whatever, but if it needs to be done, we do it.
Yeah, and if I've
And
got
it will be done.
if I've got a contractor ready to
Because
go.
the way you go in
it's-
the years, the work, sometimes you get a bad pave because of the temperature. and
Right.
everything else.
And September's been a good month, so I feel good about it if we can get it done early. And if it's the third weekend, like you're saying, great, we'll be in and out
I'm
of there
just
by then.
guessing, yeah.
The section from the lighthouse up to the granite pillars will have to be done in one pull, which means that no traffic can get through. It'll probably take half a day. The remainder of the road can be done in two pulls, and so that allows traffic to go around. So
That should be.
Yeah, the way Jake goes, it probably wouldn't take you long to go from the pillars to the lighthouse.
I think about half a day.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you even shut it off for a half a day, outside of immediate traffic, people need to get in there.
And he tends to start around 7 a.m. So
Half a day is 2:00 or something.
Yeah, Jake's, he'll usually does a good job that way.
yeah, they're great. I've been really happy with the work that they've been doing. We will be putting shoulders in on Patton Point Road a bit earlier than we normally do our shoulders, but a couple residents had called about stepping off the side and
Yeah,
going an
sliding
angle, and it is a serious lift in some spots, and so that will happen this week. My plan is to look into expanding the parking lot at Drift-In. I would say this year's the first year that I've seen the parking lot actually full on several occasions. Normally the road is lined, but the parking lot's empty.
Yeah.
But the parking lot has been empty or has been full a couple of times as well. And so
Are they doing the beach or are they going downtown?
it's all the beach.
It is all the beach.
Especially now with the parking that we have down
Right.
at Port Clyde. And so I plan on sending the crew in this winter to start cleaning up some of the dead trees and get a better idea of where we've actually got room to push out a bit. There is more property in there that we have to use. So again, there's nothing in the budget for this year for expanding it, but it's a potential
Yeah, but if you can get a
project.
price, then we can work it into the next budget.
Right. And then my hope is that when we do the repairs to Drift-In Road, we can widen the pavement in areas that we know people tend to park, maybe designate one zone for loading and offloading. And, you know, I just think if our goal is to not have people park on the road, I don't know how realistic it is, you know,
Yeah.
unless we decide to just, you know, tow them and ruin their day every time.
I mean,
I don't
you
want
could put
to.
up rails and then they couldn't park.
Right, yes, that is the other option. that you
But
can
yeah,
do.
then you wanna make sure don't interfere with, that's not a very wide road plowing.
The other thing is,
One, I'm not convinced they wouldn't park there even if we put, you know,
Someone's gonna park, they're gonna park
Right.
right away.
Right.
probably worth having a handicap spot down there too.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, because there are people that couldn't walk parking.
Yeah, right.
But I think the drop, I mean, they've been parking since I was, you know, since I was an infant, they've been parking on both sides of the road. This isn't anything new. But the idea of a drop off is really great. Like, I can't, I can't walk from the parking lot. I have to be dropped off, but I have a chauffeur. So having some kind of a drop off place and with people with
Right.
little kids too.
Right.
That would be. that
Yeah.
would be
And their
really cool.
chairs
yeah,
and stuff.
wagons and
Right.
umbrellas and
Yeah.
all that.
It's a great idea.
And then lastly, I had a kickoff meeting with KRT about the revaluation. And they were adamant that they were still on schedule. I pushed back a bit, saying that by the timeline that they had outlined, we can't possibly be on schedule.
Right.
And so then Jackie and I heard back from them today, and they do want to extend it to 2028.
Okay.
Surprise,
Which
surprise.
I'm in favor of. If they're
Right.
starting in September this year, they're gonna miss all of our seasonal residents. We have to get them out to the islands. You know,
Right.
I would prefer that they extend it to
right.
28 and do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a good thorough job.
Yeah, I just wanted to run that by you though before I made any changes to that
Still gotta
contract.
change the cost, is it?
It will not change the cost. The other piece is that you may not remember this because I did not. Apparently, we've already had the public meeting with KRT and there was only one in the contract.
I don't remember.
It was in the fall of 2024. And so
Wow,
I gave the
That was
feedback
their
that,
idea of the public meeting?
yes, and so I gave the feedback that I think that was premature.
Right,
And that it should take place right before the work begins.
right.
And I've also asked Jackie and Megan to prepare sort of some more like educational reval 101. What does this mean? What does it do to taxes? How does it affect mill rate,
Mhm.
et cetera? You know, there are times where it's in your best interest to let them into your home because otherwise they have to guess and they are gonna guess high. And so those types of pieces, you know, I want to make sure that our staff is controlling, you know, some of the messaging on.
Yes.
Good idea, thank you.
So anyway, that's the major update there. I don't know if y'all have any thoughts, feedback on that.
Well, I think we should provide you with our feedback that bumping to 2028 is the right thing to do.
I think so, because I personally, I know after the tax bills come out, you always hear the grumbling and griping. You try to explain it, well, the reval's gonna help with that. But I think that.
Depends on where you live.
Well, it does, but it won't, but it'll bring everybody even, you know, everybody will be evened out across the board. But, I
That
think.
means a lot of people are coming up, to
Right,
even it out.
well, that's, and, but there's a lot of younger people in town now that have never really probably experienced that. So that, like you said, with Megan and whatever, I think, yeah, I think like going to 28 and make sure that it's done thoroughly. Everything, you know, is looked at, and yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think it's gonna hurt anything.
Everybody agrees with that?
Yeah. To keep in mind is that the board had decided that we weren't gonna begin formally collecting personal property tax until the reval was complete. And so I just wanted to make sure that folks were aware that that puts that off another year.
Yes, because they, in their contract, they're supposed to be doing the valuations of business properties too,
Right,
so.
we don't have a registry, and so they'll do that, and they'll do that for $6,000, which
It's
I
cheap.
even make sure that they realize that we don't have, that we've never done it, you know, and that
They have to do it from scratch.
Right.
Right,
And they weren't shocked when you,
nope,
okay, good.
It would be far more expensive to have Jackie do that in-house. There's no way she could do that for $6,000, so. All right, that is all I have.
Okay. So now we need to do the committee reports because we skipped them last time, but we can go quickly through some of them, I'm sure. Cemetery?
The cemetery committee met August 5th here at the town office at 3:30. Judson Star has been busy doing stone repair up at Seaside. And he chose to work on the stones that were starting to fall that he felt were unsafe or were a liability. And he was hoping to get maybe a dozen stones repaired. He repaired some stones already that he had to piece back together with resin and everything. And when I was there visiting him a few days ago, he had the tripod set up and he was lifting stones back up and putting the bases back with crushed stone and repinning things, and it was quite a process. So anyway, he was busy doing that, and he said he had several volunteers that had stopped by to assist him or to see what was going on, which I was the going on person between jobs, so I ran in to see how he was doing. And there were people there learning how to do stone repairs. There were people there that had taken classes related to stone repair, so they knew what they were doing when they were helping him. New flag pole and flag are up and will be lit pretty soon. They haven't got the light on it yet, but it's coming. The gates have been repaired and painted, and they're doing the final repair on the last gate, which had tipped over and needed to be re-cemented in, and it's primed and will be painted. The avenues have been upgraded with new gravel and crushed stone, so it's really nice to drive in there now. And the committee is continuing to work with the green burial proposal. Dawn, the sexton, has gone and talked to the sexton in Warren. And they're in the process of getting their program completed to start it. Their sexton there takes care of 20 cemeteries.
Wow.
So Dawn has learned a lot from the sexton in Warren, and they hope to come to the select board by the end of this year with the proposal. So they're busy.
You give the most thorough reports. Good job.
Tell me when to stop.
Conservation
I
Commission.
was unable to attend that meeting, and I don't know if Ken is still online. Ken Oldberger's still there.
Oh,
He was here. Otherwise, we'll have to wait till next time.
I see him on there. Ken, are you on still? Because I think that he told me that they got the grant, or they're expecting to get the grant that will cover.
I'm unmuted now.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
okay, now you get
Yeah, let's
Ken.
give accurate information instead of my secondhand report.
Okay. So we had our last meeting on August 6th. A number of things. I'll follow up the committee meeting that Tammy talked about with the Warren Cemetery, because they sent the Warren Cemetery section to the Conservation Commission to investigate ADA compliant paths.
Oh,
So
interesting.
we
Here's that
had
experience. Yeah.
So I had a conversation with, I think her name was Amanda, and told her what we did at Fort Point, and sent her a bunch of documents that showed how you construct well, first we clarified that it's not ADA compliant, it's a UA compliant trail. So that she did understand that once she read the documents I sent her before we even had the conversation. So that was good. And from that, we learned that they use the people from the prison for some of their work. So we're thinking about that as possible trail work in the future, that we could get people from the prison to do some of our work on the newer trails.
And then you have to tell Brandon so they're covered by
By insurance.
They're injured. Our volunteers. I don't know, maybe they have special coverage.
And then we had a woman from University of Maine. I sent you some information on this, Jane, that they were trying to do a community investigation, really a community research on interviewing people regarding social impacts within the community. And she gave us a briefing of what they were trying to do. Part of it relates to a project they have determining acceptability of wind projects close to the towns. And they could pay people $100 an hour for interviewing them. We didn't have any takers at the meeting that day. I did forward the information that I thought she may get some useful information out of our comprehensive plan or the survey that led up to it. So that's where that stood. The other key things on the Zero to School program, where they initially requested we have insurance for the volunteer work. The CDC is now asking any volunteers to sign a waiver. So they already have a waiver document that was like 8 pages long. It covered all sorts of things. And we've gone back to them and say, let's just have a short 1-page waiver. It's similar to a waiver that we've signed with Maine Coast Heritage Trust in the past for when we've done work on their trails. So we're waiting to hear back on that. We did have an exploratory walk on the C-Store property on July 23rd, and we've come up with some ideas for that. And we're going to put things together on a map for them, and then get back and then have another visit, and then have the school committee members come out and see the property with any ideas that we had. The scouting property, which I think I reported last time, we abandoned our effort to get a Maine Trails Program proposal in this year for a grant because we weren't able to get a adequate design document done. Last week we talked to a fellow who's the Down East steward for Maine Coast Heritage Trust, and they're putting in a 1,100-foot boardwalk on their property at Boot Hill in Lubec. So it was quite interesting. We think the approach that they're using would be applicable to what we want to do. So we're going to try and get that contractor to come down and see the property, and we'll be looking for putting in a proposal for the next round of the grants.
Cool.
Water District, we're still waiting for them to finish their logging operation before we go out on the Water District property to do any exploration there. I think it's been reported that they're still out there cutting down trees and taking logging information out.
That's the trail that would connect the Old Woods Farm to the scouting property, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the Emerald Ash Borer, and what we're calling the Fort Point Ash Tree Preservation Project, we had just found out recently and were sent an email that they were opening requests for proposals for the Maine Outdoor Heritage Fund. We quickly put together what they call a summary application and submitted that. I think it was July 15th we submitted that application. About August 1st, we got back the approval to proceed with the full application. And we're preparing to submit that application by the August 20th deadline. We've got most of it together. We're waiting for a couple of support letters and submit that. That would pay for 50% of the effort for that ash tree preservation project with with part of about 25% coming from funds that we have in the Fort Point Fund and 25% from in-kind labor related to the project. So we can come back and give you a little bit more explanation of that at the next select board meeting. And then the last thing, I'll be attending the Parks and Rec meeting on August 11th for the potential collaboration between Parks and Rec and Conservation and I think Open Space Committee.
I don't think any open space people are gonna be there unless I haven't heard about it, but.
No. For things like the benches and enjoying open spaces and things like that.
Thank you for that, Ken.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. The planning board,
They
they
haven't.
haven't met. Harbor committee,
The Harbor Committee met on the 6th. Initially, it was basically all about one thing, but they did talk about the Harbor Master update was. Said the month of July, he used a new boat for Forest, that they had to go to. There are 3 EMS calls off the islands, and obviously the concerts, QP Burgers down in Fort Platte Harbor now, so. He was just giving us an update on what's going on down there. And he wanted them to recommend whether or not to keep the old boat. Because I guess there's some discussion about maybe getting rid of the old boat. But the committee decided, pretty much unanimously thought that it was not worth getting rid of. It was better off having it than getting rid of it. So that was their recommendation.
I'd asked for their recommendation, just because they've got a bit more boating expertise than I do. Obviously.
Nobody thought it was worth enough to get rid of.
Like you wouldn't get much for it, so why not have it as a
I
backup?
was gonna say, but it works.
well,
No,
can
it's
you
just-
keep one in Tennis Harbor and one in Port Clyde?
That's what he's currently
That's the
doing.
hope,
Yeah.
That's the main idea. The rest of the meeting was about a harbor management plan and the need for one, because comp plan. And the state basically require that we have one, so. There was a lot of discussion, basically it boiled down to, they want to start. By mapping our current moorings and figuring out what we have, because we currently don't have. A great idea of what and where everything is. So that would be the first
We have
step.
about 650 of the 1,000 moorings. Marked GPS.
Right.
There's a few hundred that are. We don't know whose they are, and so
There was
Ryan's.
discussion on how to fix that.
Yeah, and so we were talking to the Harpswell Harbor Master. They have more moorings than any other town in the state. They
Really?
manage over 2,400 moorings.
Wow.
And so he walked us through their system and what they use for sort of stickering unregistered moorings.
Right. Was that since the harbor committee meeting?
That was a follow-up to that.
Yeah, because there was a lot of discussion about that and how to enforce it, and there's a lot of discussion about everything.
How does it work, like the moorings that Colby acquired with the, from the Linda Bean operation? Are those,
Should have worked that way.
oh, well,
Typically, a mooring does not transfer with a real estate purchase. Believe it did this time because there isn't a waiting list in Port Clyde. But that is outlined in our coastal waters management ordinance that a real estate purchase does not include moorings.
Oh, interesting.
so that I wasn't even asking about that.
Sorry.
No, I'm glad that, I wondered who are they owned by the town or are they owned by people?
So
What? Somebody needs to be muted.
Ken, can you mute again? I don't know if it's you or not. Thank you. So there's essentially 2 pieces when it comes to moorings. There are mooring sites and there's mooring tackle. The town owns mooring sites and we lease those. The town doesn't own any mooring tackle, so that's your actual rock, chain, buoy, etc. We don't own any of that. We don't have any liability for any of that. We just lease where they can put their moorings.
Okay. So, but if the town owns, just like the dirt or the underwater,
This site,
um. Tube down to the bottom, right?
Mhm.
The stuff that transferred like, from the Linda Bean outfit to the Colby folks, that was the tackle and the, whatever the anchor sort of thing is. At the
Right, and that can always transfer with the real estate sale.
Yeah.
It just doesn't guarantee that you can put that tackle in the
In the
same
same
spot that
place.
it's always been. Typically, if they typically the two go together. Meaning, because if somebody is going to lease a spot, they typically need tackle, and so they'll purchase the tackle from the previous owner. But the town doesn't do anything with the tackle itself.
can become contentious as things get more crowded.
Mhm. And we do have in our ordinance some standards for tackle, so if you had, a 60-foot boat on a mooring that's maybe set up for a 25-foot boat, you would have to upgrade.
Yeah.
You have to maintain your moorings and all that. We don't have a great or strict enforcement system in place for that. Many folks do it on their own because it's in their own interest.
Well, when it pulls more and hits another boat, then they deal with it.
Right, exactly. It's true.
And
Yeah.
Ryan doesn't know how big that rock is, what's the 210 rock or 10?
Yeah, right.
I mean, some of them it is that data is registered.
It is,
People have
sometimes
it.
it's not.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes it's registered, but if someone else takes it over and they replace it, a different size, but you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, there are times where we might not have the data that somebody put a new rock in or anything like that.
So did you have any, I'm sorry if I interrupted your report. My question,
All of that is why we need a harbor manager.
right?
And basically, the whole discussion was to come to a vote on whether or not they should recommend to the select board that we pursue a grant that Aaron is already working on. Because it's due by the end of this month, right? So they did vote to recommend moving forward with the grant, which would provide up to $50,000 towards harbor management planning.
Nice.
You want to make a motion?
I will make a motion.
I'll second it.
Pursue that grant.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Harbor
We said it's a
Done.
great idea.
Yeah.
And do you need a decision or just to hear from us that we're in favor of keeping the old boat? I mean, that seems like we all feel like that.
Yeah.
I certainly would defer to the
We got it,
judge.
there's no sense getting used, getting rid of it.
Yeah, I think we would get they're saying a few $1,000s
Yeah.
back and
Yeah.
The harbor committee thought maybe 5,000 and.
But it's a long
But
way.
you have a
I
working
mean,
boat, if his boat's in Port Clyde, and he needs a tennis harbor boat, and
Yeah, he told me that they had the town boat on mooring and he used the old boat to go up to it.
Mhm.
And it kind of, it's getting used.
Yeah, no, there's use for it. I just wanted to make sure that it had the support of the committee. And
To me, it's better to have it, because there's nothing wrong with it, have it, not need it.
There's plenty wrong with it.
Well,
It doesn't need any sort of expensive maintenance. to keep
no,
in
but it
operation.
works.
Right,
But,
exactly.
and then get rid of it and then find out you could have a cheap boat.
If his boat came out of the new boat came out of the water to be serviced, then he
Right.
still has something.
Makes
it
sense.
doesn't hurt.
If he wants to go fishing, I mean, it's a lot of uses.
I think it will be
If we wanted to go fishing.
it'd be very minor annual maintenance costs to keep it,
Yeah.
It's
All
safe to
last
use
forever.
then, it's safe to continue to use.
on calm days.
Yeah.
On.
I mean, was not really feasible once they bought it. It having to be what people would.
so let's get through these last
Yeah,
few.
a few.
Open space,
They haven't met, right?
they're just collecting
I think they're
surveys.
still in the survey phase, yeah.
Yes.
I don't think there's any update from them at this point.
And Parks and Rec,
We'll meet tomorrow night.
Shellfish,
Then forgot to write the date of when they met, but they met. Last month. I think it was the third Tuesday of the month. David Taylor asked that I remind the town that if we would like to have the drift-in be tested for contamination, that the town has to pay to have the testing done.
Was, I thought Heron Gut was gonna do some testing there. So, do you know?
I think
Okay.
Sarah mentioned that.
I'll follow up with
I'm not
her.
sure why he's giving us that reminder, do you know?
No, he just, because all the testing prices went up, so he just wanted, he didn't feel that that area is anything related to clamming or shellfish, so he felt that.
And do you know how much it is?
It's up over $300 now. I don't have the price.
Okay.
No, and the testing concerns have never been shellfish related anyway. It's the smell that comes up
For E.
from.
coli risk for swimmers or something.
Right. Yeah,
But anyway, he asked me to mention that. A new motor was purchased for the warden's boat. I know. The old motor was sold to offset the cost of the new motor, which was $3,977.35. And for June of 2026, the Upper Bay, in 6 days, they dug almost 27,000 pounds of land. Cool. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It's just amazing what these people, these men and women go out and do in the mud. It's like.
Well, the conservation, the committee's been doing too, get that.
Yeah.
Right, then while they're clamming, they're doing.
It makes your back hurt, doesn't it? Think
Yeah,
about
that's
that.
what I look at those.
I
people.
starved their place.
So anyway, they're continuing to do good work, I think.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Solid waste, also yours.
Oh, solid waste, yes. The discussion has started, again, I forgot to write down the date of when the meeting was. Discussion has started about potential commercial hauler fees. 2 representatives from Robinson Waste Services attended this meeting. And they've got numerous generations of people that have been in the solid waste business, so he offered a lot of advice to the committee. Compost continues to grow, over 4,500 pounds has been taken out of the waste stream as of last month. The committee is working on their ordinance. The chair and the secretary were elected. And there was a suggestion from the secretary that we put together a new committee/member packet. Like if somebody new is coming onto a board or committee,
Right,
that they have a list of things that they need to know.
right.
Pretty
So
quickly.
at the all board chair committee meeting, I did say I was gonna create a Google Drive with all that
Oh, yeah.
information in there, which I sent to Bill Batty for him to pull together. And then as soon as I get that from him, I will share it with all of you and all the committee chairs. And then if they want stuff printed out, they just need to ask
Okay.
Patty to print out the stuff in there.
And this will be something for each committee,
Yeah.
specific to each committee, so they'll
Yeah, I
have an
mean,
idea what they need to do.
Right.
Once you go to that me, if my aunts and uncles can get some.
that must be Janine's on. Okay.
So anyway, that is the solid waste committee.
Great. And I think emergency services meet next month. They haven't met since we've been. So the only other thing, some of you, I told you there's in the current issue of Maine Boats, Homes and Harbors, there's an article about wildcat. So you can put that in the minutes if anybody wants to see the article in the September, October issue of that magazine. And there's also an article about the Wyatts.
What's the
I've
title?
heard of them.
Maine Boats, Homes and Harbors. And there's also a little blurb about
You know where you can pick that up?
Well, I picked it up at the airport when I was waiting for my sister to arrive. About.
Their office in Main Street in
Not
Rockland.
very many. I can still get my fur fishing.
There's
game.
a- Steve Thomas's book that
Is it at Walmart?
we all heard
Cool.
Lois went to.
Last night.
Yeah, I don't know where people can normally get them. They were lying around at the airport. All right, so our next meeting
Oh, that
is
weight room.
August 24th at 6 o'clock. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Coming.
Thank you.
Very.
That was-
I know.